Hi, and welcome back to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. I'm your host, Eric Knowles, and yeah, as I say, I'm excited. You know, it's exciting when we talk to entrepreneurs, persons who are just building their own world. And today I have a wonderful member of the Chamber, Miss Catherine Tyson, the real estate queen.
All right now.
Yeah, all right now. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Mr. Knowles. It's my pleasure to be
Eric,
here today.
please.
Eric, thank you, Eric.
No, thank you for being here. You know, doing this show, we started it, we weren't live as we are now in a studio. We were doing it through Zoom and because of the pandemic, and that's what started this. And here we are, and I just want to thank Miami-Dade College and President Fruin for having us. And this has just been such a great platform. As a matter of fact, I was out yesterday and someone stopped me and said, hey, I saw your shows that you're doing and keep on doing it, and it's really great. So we're excited to have you here. You're native, Miami.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, we were just talking. You went to Jackson?
Went to Miami-Jackson. I also was a student here at Miami-Dade College, and I later went on to the University of Miami.
Okay, okay. And so, real estate queen. So, it's reading your bio. You've been doing that for a little bit, and you've been, you've been very successful
Extremely.
at it. Extremely successful. And real estate in Miami right now is interesting, to say the least. You know, I get these emails from Zillow, properties all over the place, and I am so wowed at, you know, where we are. I know Miami-Dade, we're actually, I guess they're saying, facing a housing crisis in terms of the pricing going up. And I went to Edison, so we kind of probably grew up in the same neighborhoods. I grew up on 53rd Street, and I was in my old neighborhood a few months ago. This is probably even almost a year ago, and there was a house for $1.2 million on 52nd Street off of Miami Avenue, on the west side of Miami Avenue, not on the east side of Miami Avenue. So tell us about your real estate journey. How did that begin?
First of all, my real estate journey began when I graduated from high school.
Okay.
I had a baby. I was married to a guy that had just started the fire department. And we tried to rent a property. Back in those days, in the 70s, it was hard for black people to rent properties. Everywhere we went, it was like, oh, I'm sorry, it's taken. I'm sorry, it's taken.
Wow.
So I decided that I was going to buy a house.
Okay.
So I was only maybe 20, and we bought our first home. And that turned out to be a really good deal. It was back in the 70s. So
How much did that house cost back in the 70s?
$15,000.
Wow.
It's over in Little River, and I think that house right now is probably worth about $600,000, seriously.
Right.
It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So I gained an interest in real estate because I wanted to have my own business. I've always wanted to have my own business. So I'm one of those people that are a seeker. I'm always reading, I'm always studying, I'm always taking classes. And I started taking these no money down seminars with wholesalers.
Right.
So instantly, I just tried it and it worked.
Okay.
You know, we're getting priced out of the market right now because of the high prices. But if I told you the number of houses I bought and flipped, you wouldn't believe me. The kind of money you make is unimaginable. The last flip I did, let me tell you how it goes.
Yeah, let's just
give
us the
okay,
nitty-gritty.
knock, knock.
Right. Who's there?
Catherine, opportunity only knocks once.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're on board, you can really make a lot of money doing this. It's quite simple. How I work, I get a list of the properties that are going into foreclosure.
Okay.
I get a list of the new properties that have just been listed that are going into foreclosure. You know, sometimes wholesalers get a bad reputation. They say, oh, you're stealing people's homes, blah, 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 blah. There's always divorce, there's always death, there's always people losing their jobs, there are always people that are relocating, there are people that their parents have died, the property's run down, they need to get rid of it. So I step in and I purchase the properties at little or no money down. Normally no money down. Once I find the property, I find a buyer to flip it to.
Okay.
I go put the property under contract. I get a deed, you know, I give the owner some money. And then a lot of times when I do the short sales, the bank are anxious to work with me and the owner because they don't want abandoned properties just sitting there.
Right.
So if you go to the bank, you can make a deal with the bank, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to drastically reduce the payoff price.
Okay.
So that's when I step in. I give the money, the buyer, the seller rather, money to relocate, to start anew, and then I take the property. I do some work on it. Sometimes I don't. It depends on how I want to sell the property.
Right.
But I find that that's an easier route than just buying retail.
Okay.
Because you make a bigger profit. If you're a real estate agent, you might make 6% commission. You're going to do the same amount of work that I do when finding a buyer, but now I'm the owner.
Right.
You don't need a real estate license.
Okay.
All you need is the get up and go to look for properties. So what I have decided to do, there's so many young people out here that don't own properties.
Okay.
So my dream is to have a mentoring program.
No, I'm glad you said that, because that's where the next place where I was going to go, in terms of the fact that, as you were saying, that we're being priced out of housing, and our young folks, our young professionals, I mean, a 2-bedroom house, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, and if you're a young family of 3 or 4 kids or whatever, you need a larger property.
Exactly.
So that is, I love that. Mm-hmm. So you're going to start a mentoring program?
That's exactly what I want to do. I want to start a mentoring program, and I want to help young people purchase their first property.
Okay.
Hopefully you have good credit, you have income where you can sustain the mortgage payment once you get the property, because the properties aren't free.
Right.
You purchase them at a wholesale price, and then you get your own mortgage, your own financing. You can live in the property, you can resell the property, you have a lot of options.
Wow.
You know, I was reading about the guys that started the Airbnb.
Right.
And they started it because they bought a property that they couldn't afford, and they decided to rent it out.
Right.
So I've been telling my daughter, no, Mom, I don't want to own anything right now.
But why are you going to keep paying rent?
Why are you going to keep paying rent?
But, you know, it actually, I've heard different sides of that. But before we get into that, we're going to take a break in a couple of seconds and come back. So we're going to get a word from one of our sponsors, and then we'll be back and we'll continue.
Okay, thank you.
At Convey, we're not only dedicated to solving today's biggest challenges facing healthcare organizations, we're also committed to predicting and planning for tomorrow's challenges by uniting a family of companies. We combine powerful technology with robust data analytics to deliver integrated end-to-end solutions that achieve meaningful results. Start your journey towards transformative business performance with Convey.
And welcome back. And I'm having a great conversation about something that we all probably have concern about here in Miami-Dade County right now in South Florida. And I'm here with the real estate queen, and I'm telling you, she's dropping some nuggets here. So we were talking before we took the break about mentoring and helping young folks get into real estate. And you were mentioning your daughter and the thing about paying rent. And, you know, I've heard investors or financial advisors talk about whether you buy a house or whether you rent a house or a property, because obviously when you are buying a property, there's upkeep. And when you're renting, you don't have to be concerned about that upkeep. You know, a house, you have to replace a roof every 30 years or so, so on and so forth. But you're building equity even through that. As you said, that house that was $15,000 that you paid for is probably $600,000 now. And actually, my first house I bought, going back to Miami Avenue and 44th Street, I was in my early 20s, $35,000 for that house. That house now, it was up for sale a year or so ago, like $1.something million. So I think that washes out that concern about upkeep. So talk about, you know, what you were saying about the mentoring and what you want to do.
Okay, what I want to do is I actually want to train young people the techniques of buying and selling property.
Does it just have to be young people?
No, it could be any.
Because I'm learning something here
It's
now.
really open to anyone. You know,
Right.
Miami, believe it or not, is the #1 destination in the world for people to want to live.
Yeah, everybody wants to be in Miami.
Everybody wants a part of
We just had
Miami.
Formula One. Everybody was here.
Everybody
I was
wants.
on my Instagram. I saw a picture. Tom Cruise was here for the Formula One. So everybody comes to Miami.
Everybody comes to Miami. And there are just so many opportunities because, you know, people, they don't really understand how I move in this business. It's like I don't really have to work hard.
Right.
I don't really have to work hard. I have been doing this for a long time. So, for example, the house I'm living in. The house I'm living in now, I bought this property about 12 years ago from a woman. Her husband abandoned her. She ended up on drugs. She had like 9 children.
Boy.
So I helped her relocate. She was behind in her payments. She wasn't taking care of the property, and she really wanted to go. It was just too much for her to handle. So that particular property, this was right in like 2009 when all the prices had
Boom. Yeah.
dropped.
Everything dropped. Yeah.
Everything dropped. Thank God for that. I'm waiting on it to happen.
Oh, it was a great opportunity for people like you.
It was a great opportunity. So I picked up this property I did a short sale for $95,000 with the bank.
Wow.
$95,000.
Wow.
That property right now is worth about, I would say, $950,000.
I believe you. I understand.
And then when I cash out, I can get all the money I need to invest in other things.
Right.
It's like a piggy bank.
Right.
It's like a piggy bank. But people, they just don't get it. You know, I've had people, they're just not motivated. They're used to doing a 9-to-5 job. They're used to getting a little paycheck every week. But if you could be bold enough to step out and actually go out and do the work, you'd be surprised of the returns that you could earn.
Right.
But a lot of people, they just, even my daughter, she's like, I'm just gonna be honest, she's lazy.
Well, as they say, you can lead a horse through the water, but you can't make him
She's
drink.
lazy.
Right.
She has this little place she rents for $500 a month. So she says, that's all
happy.
I need. That's
She's
all I
good.
need. I'm like, okay, that's all you need. But you.
So, obviously, you have made a career in doing this, but I know there's got to be some challenges, though. So what are the biggest challenges in doing what you do?
The biggest challenge is motivating yourself to get up and go to work every day.
Okay.
Especially, you know, when I needed a house, or if I needed a flip, or I needed to get some money, There was no stopping me. Knock on doors, knock on doors, knock on doors, knock on doors. I get a house, I get a house, I get a
Okay.
house, I get a house. And then you can get comfortable because you have enough money to be comfortable.
Right.
So it's got to be like Les Brown always said, you got to be hungry. You got to want more. You got to need income. You got a family. You want to take care of your family. You want to put your kids in college. You want a better life.
Right.
You have to be driven to do this because the deal is not going to fall in your lap.
You got to go out and get it.
And once you go out and get that deal, you got to work with it. There could be code violations. Some of them.
So those are the challenges.
Those are the challenges.
So-
and you have to work it all the way through until you close it.
Right.
You know?
No, I have actually dwelled in there a little bit. What you're talking about, I know exactly what you're talking about. I actually house. This was back in the '80s. It was a crack house that I found in Coconut Grove, and I went through going on the property, real estate property for the county, and found the owner, and they were behind in payments with the bank. There were code violations up to like $20,000. And then you had to go to the city and talk to the city, and hopefully they'll reduce those violations. So yeah, it definitely is a process to do that. The one thing you haven't talked about, and I'm sure you probably deal with it, is was it tax, when people are behind on their taxes? The tax liens.
Tax liens and
Do
tax
you deal
deeds.
with that at all?
No.
You don't deal with
Because
that?
they're only going to make a small amount of money for sitting their money there.
Okay. and you're sitting your money there, and you don't necessarily get anything until
Until the property's sold or till the owner redeems it and gives the city the money that they owe on the back taxes.
okay. So
Then
you don't even
that's just-
you ain't got time for that.
I ain't got time for that. I tell my kids, they're like, why don't you do the tax deed thing? I'm like, that's for rich people who got their grandchildren money who just want to park it somewhere.
Okay. Okay.
You know, I want to keep my money growing
Right.
bigger, bigger, bigger.
So do you go outside of Dade County? Do you go into Broward or Palm Beach at all?
Not really. You know, I like to micromanage a property once I own it. You know, I have been offered properties in Jacksonville, Orlando.
Okay.
But, you know, to manage a property is really hands-on. You need
Right.
to be there. If you have tenants, you need to deal with your tenants. You need to address issues.
Okay.
So I'm not really an absentee type loaner that wants to have property out of town or in another state.
Okay.
That's not for me.
Okay. So what is your next move? What are you working on now?
Right now, I have in the pipeline, I'm working on this 8-unit building.
Okay. So it's not just single family homes?
Oh, no. I've been told by my mentoring, I'm involved in a lot of real estate investment clubs.
Okay.
And actually, I want to start our own investment club right here in the city of Miami. So I've been told, why have 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, 4 units? Why don't you try for a bigger building and make more money? And I'm like, oh, wow, that's a bigger headache. But it's bigger dollars.
Right.
So I've stepped it out now, and my daughter and I, we have under contract an 8-unit building.
Wait a minute. This is the same daughter?
No, this is another daughter. Now, this daughter is a go-getter. This other daughter, no, this daughter is fly with her, no, Columbia.
Not the same daughter.
No, Columbia graduate with 5 companies she owns.
Okay. Well, you know, we can continue this conversation, but unfortunately, we're running out of time. If someone wants to get in touch with you, how can they?
You can reach me at 305-731-3591. That's my office number. Or you can reach me via email at property@1, F as in Frank, H as in Harry, S as in Sam.com. And I'll be happy to talk with you.
All right. This has been the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. Thank you for joining. You can reach the Chamber at 305-751-8648. Thank you for joining.